a world of AI
Yep.
and fakeness that people want to work with people.
Yes, I care about your business. Yes, I care about your financial wins. Yes, I care about this, but like only in the context of a life that actually supports you and that you are in love with.
We are taught to do it all and to wear this like badge of honor, and then in the end, the end being we're alone in the house because our kids are in school, and now our purpose went to school
Yeah.
and we're sitting with ourselves, and that's when things get really loud.
To me is the most authentic thing is to just be with yourself, be with what's alive, what's real, even in all its imperfection, and then believing that you're worthy anyways.
Women specifically, maybe men, I just haven't talked to one yet about it, um, feel guilty for complaining about certain expectations that they put on themselves and maybe can't live up to them 24/7.
The path towards everything we want is doing what you want, when you want, the way you want to do it.
If you open your mind where things could make the biggest difference, I see working differently.
Yeah.
I also follow my gut a lot more and trust it.
I want you to be chasing and striving and dreaming audaciously and loving every, maybe not every minute, but most minutes of it.
Hey there, my little biz besties. Welcome back to In Good Company, where real entrepreneurs share real growth stories. Thanks for liking and subscribing to my channel. Let's get into it.
We have known each other, I looked back, about 3 years now. And 3 years, so much can change in both of us.
Yeah.
Because normally in our working relationship, we're just talking about me. But when I look back at you, because I was looking through your social media, and because I was like, I know Emilie, but how well do I know Emilie? How much you've changed in 3 years. When we initially started working together, it was I'm starting this thing, and I feel like I'm supposed to be doing all these things, but I'm very scattered. I don't even know how to balance this. And you came into my world, and for lack of better terms, felt like emotional support, spirit guide, life coach. So I'm curious how you would define what you do today, if you had to put a title on it. I know
I hate this question so much. This
I
is the
knew
end
you
of my
would.
business experience. I have been wrestling only because I can never answer it. And it was the thing that I was told on day one, like, you need to get this or else it will haunt you. And 7 years later, that has proven to be very true.
Here we are.
And literally also embracing the sort of like, I'm never going to capture it. I'm never going to get it right. So the current of the moment,
Yeah.
I just consider myself a life and success coach for women who want it all, who want more, who have unreasonable dreams, who are just ready to do big things. And I've struggled with the term life coach for so long because it feels so cheesy and it feels so like literally when I was introduced in my local chamber of commerce, people were like laughing, like, oh my God, you believe in this stuff. But truly, I think if I'm really honest, I think that title actually lands the most sincere because the thing I care about most is helping people create lives they love, helping women make a full life. Yes, I care about your business. Yes, I care about your financial wins. Yes, I care about this, but like only in the context of a life that actually supports you and that you are in love with. And so, yeah, I guess I'm a spiritual life coach, business coach, success coach,
All the things.
all of the above,
Yeah.
depending on what you
And
need.
that's true. You just joined a chamber, so you probably felt so weird, feeling like, well, now I have to have a title, because how can I talk about what I do? People need titles to organize what you do. How's that going, by the way?
I actually quit. I'm a Chamber of Commerce dropout. And I was a member for like a solid year and a half, and I met a lot of really great people, and it was so great for me to get out of behind my desk. I was a stay-at-home mom for 12 years, and then running an online-based business for 7 years. It was really nice to actually meet other people, and I have done it virtually, and I've traveled a ton for things.
Sure.
Has been great, but just people in my own backyard has been awesome. I did struggle with. being understood by like, bankers and
Mm.
lawyers and plumbers and people. And I found that there was really like kind of like three main groups of people when I introduced myself. One was kind of like, hey, cool, I'm a plumber, like completely like no biggie.
Yeah.
Others who were like very kind of like, oh, like just I
Yeah.
perceived as judgy. And then others who were like, really, what is like, help me understand.
Okay. Interested.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what you mean by that. Life
Yeah.
is a pretty big term to put to.
Yeah. Like, what do you
Okay.
do? Who do you work with? What do you care? The people that leaned in to ask questions, I was so like, okay, this is good. You don't have to get it. You don't even have to like it, but the willingness to ask questions and come closer, like
Yeah.
really opened some good conversations.
Oh, I love that because I mean, I've been in BNI for a long time.
Yeah.
And it does. I have grown a lot because of BNI,
Mm-hmm.
but it can feel very stiff. And what you do, from my perspective as the client, is not stiff. It's not. It doesn't feel logical. It does, and that's why I always struggle because
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
not black and white. You can't create an SOP for what
Right.
you do.
Well, and that was ultimately, I think, the reason I ended up leaving is I said there was probably a lot of reasons, but I was like, mostly I don't do small talk, and all this is forced, the most basic small talk,
Mhm.
and people are there to network and meet and grow their business, which is great, which is the whole point. And I'm not saying that I couldn't have done that, but it didn't feel right for me to be like pitching my services and of course there was an organic opportunity for people to get to know me and come closer, but it felt like I was just in the wrong room. That was the thought that kept saying is like, put yourself in the right rooms with the right people. And every time I was like, this isn't the right room. And I realized, and I actually saw, and this is gonna sound really judgy, but that's honestly the truth of how I felt. It's like there's a lot of these awards, and we're gonna, these like 20 under 20, which are 20, not 20, 40 under 40, which isn't me, but like all of these. And I see these people celebrating, and I kind of recognized myself, like I could see how I would want to be like the queen of this world, like how I could get really into being on all the boards and being known by everybody and being like, and this feels like a slippery slope.
Sure.
For me. I want to be the smallest person in a big room versus trying to become a bigger person in a small room. And not to minimize these businesses or these people or what they're doing. These people are far more successful than me in many ways, but it just didn't feel like the right space for me. And I knew that if I didn't leave, I might never leave.
Oh.
So
we were recognizing old patterns.
Yeah.
And we've talked personally about kind of being like a people pleaser, like a teacher's pet.
Yes.
Your calls almost always started with when you were doing masterminds.
Mm-hmm.
Group of women come together, and one of like the first top 5 things you say is, as a recovering teacher's pet, do not feel like you have to say and do things because you think that's what I want. You don't have to impress me. Like, you don't have to ask questions because you think it makes me like you more. And it sounds like maybe you recognized some of those things in yourself in those rooms.
Yeah, one of the biggest, hardest things for me, and I think that a lot of my clients, is to stop performing.
Yeah.
Living my life and actually moving through it from a genuine, authentic place versus this is me being the Chamber of Commerce version of me, and this is me being the PTO mom version of me, and this is me being the life coach version of me. And really had a habit as a girl who grew up, I say like recovered good girl or teacher's pet, people pleaser. I thought the path to success, and by that I mean love, acceptance, belonging, money, all of that, was basically like just figuring out who I had to be and get really good at being her. And I've been doing that for, 40 some years. And that is not, I'm not available for that anymore. And constantly catching those old patterns of like, who am I performing as? Who am I? Not that it's an outright lie, right? But it's like the dialing up this version or showing up in this way or playing the game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I could be really good at this game. I know I could. And the old me wants to get in there and crush that game. And I'm like, no, we're not playing little girl games anymore.
Okay. So I love how self-aware you are because it's infectious. Working with you and, I've worked with coaches my entire business life. And there are business coaches and even more specifically sales coaches. What would you describe Sophie as?
She's a polarity coach. Yeah.
Polarity.
Masculine, feminine energy. Yep.
Okay. Polarity coaches. But teaching other women of how to be aware of self is such a skill you have. On your website, and I've heard you say this, you describe yourself as a Midwest brown-eyed girl. You're raising babies and you're chasing the 7-figure dreams in a sleepy town, which I relate to. And you paint this very serene picture with a little bit of chaos sprinkled in. So we'll take it back. What about growing up or living in that environment shaped your mindset around ambition and motherhood and success? Because I hear some of that with what you're just are now, but what do you think that's kind of brought to life?
I mean, there's so many layers, speaking of digging into your awareness of yourself and learning. But I'd say like probably the simple version is I really wanted to find the answer, the path that would make me worthy, make me good, make me ultimately happy, because that's kind of what we're sold, right? Like if you become the version of a woman that is most celebrated, most adored, then you will be happy. And for me, growing up in the Midwest, and it was very much the stay-at-home mom, self-sacrificing, work really hard, but also, be like, get a degree, work really hard, put yourself through school, be a hustler, like pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Like it was that version. And then it was stop doing all that, stay home, raise babies, bake cakes, be barefoot, be wonderful, like dote on your husband, live happily ever after. And I truly had this vision of arrival, right? Like once I get there, I'm good. But no one really told me like when you get there, you're like 27 years old or something. And it was like, I'm here. And I never really thought beyond like what comes after the happily ever after. And that was where this started for me, this sort of existential journey of like, wait a minute, I have everything that was supposed to make me happy. And I crushed it, right? I played the game. I did it right, quote, right. So why doesn't it feel better? Why do I still have all of this angst and this desire and this wildness? Why am I getting resentful when I have everything that was supposed to satisfy me? If this isn't what I want, what do I actually want? And does that make me a monster? Because of course I love my 4 children, but like, what if that's not enough? Am I greedy? Am I terrible? I'm, shame, guilt. And so that became the catalyst for like big questions that I had never, ever asked in the preceding like 3 decades.
Yeah. And it feels like illegal.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I think sometimes when we've communicated, I almost want to whisper some of the things that I am feeling, and you rip them right open.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, let's talk about that thing that was hard to say.
Yeah.
So there's so much relatability with that, because as moms, we are taught to do it all and to wear this like badge of honor. And then in the end, the end being we're alone in the house because our kids are in school, and now our purpose went to school.
Yep.
And we're sitting with ourselves, and that's when things get really loud. So that's so powerful. I know that before we hit record, we were talking about how you are really streamlining, for lack of better terms, your offerings. And you mentioned building your brand from, and I just know this because we talk about it, from authenticity.
Yeah.
So authenticity, I think, is something everyone is really, really trying to go back to in a world of AI and fakeness, that people want to work with people. So that feels like a struggle in itself when you're used to performing.
It's impossible because no one teaches us how to be authentic. Like, I think I'm still figuring this out, and I've been doing deep in this work for 10 years, and I'm still figuring out who I am and essentially who I'm allowed to be, because I am really good at, I was literally just having a talk with myself today on this, of figuring out what's wrong with me so that I can fix it. Looking for self-diagnosing, like, oh, is that really what I want? Or is that like, am I self-sabotaging? Oh no, like, that's my inner child. Like, that's not, just constantly sort of gaslighting and doubting, and recognizing, like, learning to really figure out what is it, not only that I want, but how do I more fully embrace this wholeness of who I am, which means I can be really bitchy some days, and I can be really nasty and judgmental, and I can be really lazy, and I can be all of these other amazing things. And I don't have to fix all of those things. I can trust myself. And I will say, like, a lot of the healing, the people pleaser and self-worthiness work feels like arrogance. It feels a little shitty. It feels kind of, when you've spent your whole life trying to make everyone else happy, really loving yourself and really setting boundaries and really protecting yourself even from your own thoughts, feels borderline tough and harsh. And that is the authentic self. My authentic self is not high vibe. My authentic self is greedy and impatient. My authentic self, and for a while, a lot, and I'm curious to hear your experience, but a lot of this, like, inner work and stopping the people pleaser and all of this, it becomes another place to perform. I'm going to perform super high vibe. I'm going to perform like I never have a negative thought. I'm going to perform like this spiritualized, perfect, healed version of a human, versus I'm perpetually going to be this, like, messy work in progress, never feeling good enough, but deciding to be good enough anyways.
Right.
Liver of life. That to me is the most authentic thing, is to just be with yourself, be with what's alive, what's real, even in all its imperfection, and then believing that you're worthy anyways, as is, in the middle of it.
I love that. So it's allowing space for your changing personality. You know, one day I'm this and one day I'm that, and they're both me, but it's still authentically me when I allow myself to just be. With working with someone like you, I found, like, I didn't think I really needed that much help. I was like, well, it's like, she just seemed like a cool girl, and I just want to be in her space because then I'll be successful. And what I found was there's always work, because women specifically, maybe men, I just haven't talked to one yet about it, feel guilty for complaining about certain expectations that they put on themselves and maybe can't live up to them 24/7. And you would say in the calls, not just to me, to other women, that your past isn't your identity. When you would ask us how things are going, you would stop and say, I don't need the whole backstory. Like, I don't need you to justify who this is, why they're in my life, and whatever. Let's just get to the story. And I think there's power in that, because it has taught me to just ask for what I want.
Yeah.
And not justify. Just get to the point. If I want something, there's a point.
Well, it's because we're used to, like, kind of auditioning for our own space in our own lives, even in our own head. We're used to saying, like, well, I need a reason to say no. I need a good reason to want this thing. Like, we'll justify, well, I'll do this thing because yesterday I did that thing, and so it's okay. It's like, because I want to is the only reason I need. And the root of this is not being able to trust ourselves. Because I always say to women, if you just did, I firmly believe The path towards everything we want is doing what you want, when you want, the way you want to do it. Not doing a damn thing you don't want to do. And then everyone like clutches their pearls and they're like, what do you mean? If I didn't do things I didn't want to do, like my house would be a disaster. I would gain 500 pounds. But that assumes that who you are fundamentally is not good. It presumes that if unchecked and unmanaged, that you're going to just blow up your whole life. That if you aren't hard on yourself, you will make terrible decisions and terrible choices. It assumes that you are untrustworthy, because that is the message you've gotten your whole life. You can't be trusted. You're wild. You're reckless. You're too emotional. You're frivolous. You're greedy. You're selfish. You're all of these terrible things. So you better be perfect, or else your demons will destroy you. And that's just complete and utter bullshit. If I say do what you want and don't do what you don't want, guess what you're going to do? You're going to discern. You might take a weekend or a week to be completely worthless because you haven't stopped for 2 decades. And then you're going to want to eat a vegetable. And then you're going to actually think about what you care about. And then you're going to move your body, feed your family, invest in your business because you care about those things. And when we know that we actually can trust ourselves, I can trust myself to say, like literally yesterday, we had a call and I was frantic. I was rushing around. I was like, I'm not in the good headspace for this call. I'm like, I'm going to cancel the call. And I was literally typing my reason and I backspaced it because I'm like, hey, I don't need to explain, because I know that I'm not in the right headspace to coach it to the way that I want to. And that is what's good for me is good for business, is good for my clients, is good for my family. What's good for me is good. And the more I own that, and it still worked because again, I had to I hope she's not disappointed, but it's like when I can honor that in myself, then I empower my clients to honor the same. You don't need a reason to cancel. You don't need a reason to say no. You don't need a reason to not do your workout today because you don't feel like it. You can trust yourself, and that will actually move mountains in your business, in your receiving, in your money. Because when you say like, I am worthy without all of these qualifiers, when I'm worthy without performing, you actually start receiving more. Life starts moving towards you. You start allowing more things to happen without your effort. It like creates this amazing shift just by saying, I'm good. I trust myself.
Yeah. And I think my response was like, okie dokie.
Yeah.
Because, well, number one, fellow Midwestern girls, so we say okie dokie. Yes. But 2, you have taught and given your clients permission to do those things, such as I'm canceling because I need to cancel, period. So what's received is, okay, and we move on.
Yeah.
And I didn't question whether you liked me anymore. She had to cancel, okay. Yeah. And then I had an hour of just doing what I wanted to do, and that was actually really nice. So many of your programs that I have partaken in speak to guilt and to self-worth and really surrendering the shoulds.
Yep.
And redefining success. For me, when we first started working together, I was really serious about having 10K months. Mm-hmm. The marketing told me.
Oh, yeah. I know this well. Yes.
If I can have a 10K month, I'm successful. Yep. And shockingly enough, it didn't happen when I wanted it to happen.
Yep.
And I remember, because we did one-on-one, but the mastermind was really cool. The mastermind of a group of women mm-hmm. that also voiced, I want a 10K month. Mm-hmm. But then learning what that actually means mm-hmm. was so powerful. And I very much loved the mastermind. So how do you personally today measure success now compared to earlier in your journey? Because we talked about the 10K months live. We both talked about how we felt that was the measure of success. If you have a 10K month, like you're crushing it. Yeah. And compared to early in the journey when success was defined differently than today.
I really believe that where we are is where we are, and all your power is in the present moment. And at that time, striving for, because that same thing in my industry, it was like, once you hit a 10K month, then you've really made it, then you're a real entrepreneur, whatever the hell the story was.
Yeah.
No one talks to you about then once you hit it. And for me, it took me a year, which felt like an eternity. In hindsight was probably pretty fast. But then I was completely maxed out. I had 12 private clients and 0 time and 0 capacity to make another dollar. So I was like, well, this is an epic business. Like, this is not really workable.
Yeah.
So I think the next, like, my first 5-figure month was a 15, because I had said 10K, but I had so much resistance around it that I said, screw it, I'm going to go for 15, and actually kind of leapfrogged it, which sometimes is a thing we can do when you have a lot of resistance around something. But then the next month, I think I made like $500. So it's like, we define success by these arbitrary like check marks that mean literally nothing, but we've assigned so much of our value to. Like, I've made it. Yeah, I've made it. Now what? Now I'm back to, now I have a new problem. Now I have no way to scale this, no way to sustain this, no way to maintain this. What did it cost me? 12 private clients is a huge, not only logistical, and at the time I was doing weekly calls, so that was like 12 hours a week. And then the emotional, like, supporting private clients I'm very selective about the people now that I work with privately. It's a lot to kind of carry. I think about them. I worry isn't the right word, but like it is something that I take it seriously.
They're on your mind.
They're on my mind. I think about them. I see their posts. I care about them.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about what we're going to talk about. I think, how I can help. So having that quote was success. And it was in that I proved to myself I could do this thing. And so there's something there, but it's a moving target. I learned I shouldn't say very quickly. I learned very slowly, to be honest. Because then it was, then it was 20K months, then it was 30K months, then it was 40K months, then it was 50K months. It's like, there's always something. And for me now, so where I've really, and I had a complete dark night of my soul in my business, which I talk about openly, of like getting everything and then having it all fall apart, which I firmly believe was necessary, because I do think when you build from a not so strong foundation and you say you want to keep going higher, the universe lovingly says, well, we need to rebuild with a deeper foundation. And that is a huge gift. And so if things are falling apart for you or not working or collapsing, you're not alone, and you're not crazy, and you're actually destined for even bigger things, I believe fully. So on the other side of all of that, success for me has become about, am I in love with my life today? Because if you think about it, and this is going to get a little cheesy, but bear with me. It's like we're just rushing towards this, like, once I get here, this arrival mentality. And we're sacrificing our life in front of us for the potential promise of something better over here once we get this many thousands, millions, hundreds of dollars. We think that we're going to feel different. We're going to be different. But if we cannot be in love with our life right now, we will not be in love with it when we get there, because the present will always be the present moment. So if I can't sit still, and one of my favorite questions is not like, women talk about what they're building, what they want to achieve. That's all the things you're running towards. But like, honestly, I want to know what you're running from, because most of the time we think we're running towards these big success and sexy businesses. And what really is running from our fear of not being good enough. We're running from our inability to sit with our emotions and face the little girl who never got seen and loved for who she is. We're running from that voice of that bully or our mother or somebody who criticized us when we were younger, and we got to prove those motherfuckers wrong. We're running from a version of ourselves that we don't think is worthy. We're like, I'm going to show everybody, prove them all wrong. I'm going to achieve all of these things, and then you'll prove you're all wrong about me. But that isn't a life. That fuel is not sustainable. It will destroy you. And so success for me is like, yes, I have big goals, and yes, I'm chasing things, and yes, I get super excited when I have wins. But do I love my life today? Do I love building? Do I love what I'm building? Do I love how I'm building it? Do I love the time I have with my kids? Do I love the relationship with my husband? Do I love the way I feel in the gym? Do I have time for the things that matter today? Because if I don't today, believing I will someday is a bunch of bullshit. And so making this day, regardless of where I am in relation to my goal, more valuable than a potential someday is my aspiration. I don't always nail it, right? There are days when I feel like, well, if I just had this, then I would be happy. I would be amazing. I would never feel sad again, right? We still believe the lie. But truly, it's like, everyone asks, what would I do if I couldn't fail? But I think that's the wrong question. I think the better question is what would I do even if I failed? Because I loved it. Yeah. Because I loved the build. I loved meeting edges. I loved facing parts of myself, outgrowing old stories, overcoming things I didn't think I could do, proving to myself that I am more capable than I realized. And even if the output or the outcome doesn't last or falls apart or I never get there, it was worth it. Like, that's what I want women to be doing. I want you to be chasing and striving and dreaming audaciously and loving every, maybe not every minute, but most minutes of it. The climb, right? Like Miley Cyrus says, like the climb.
We love the climb.
Love the climb.
I think that there's more work in that than people know, because you're told polar opposite things. So you're told you shouldn't want too much. In the Bible, there's all these things about not wanting too much and then being content. And but then on the other side, it's like, if you don't want anything, do you sit in contentedness and do you sit in sadness? So it's a struggle. For you personally, what are some things you do, some habits or beliefs that help you stay as grounded as one can be grounded, avoid burnout, but also still pursuing those, because you said you have big dreams, and motherhood and self-care, which is not selfish.
No.
But what are some things that people can do if they're, I'm going to say 3 years ago, Ashley felt guilty for asking for help, identified with past badges of honor and trauma, and felt guilty for sharing wins.
Yeah.
Like it was braggy.
Yeah, sure.
So in your own words, what are some things to help day to day?
It's tricky because, like, I mean, I can sit here. I literally just did it, and I'm going to try not to do more of it, where it's like, just set boundaries and self-care comes first, and say no, and care more about the journey than the destination. I can say all these platitudes, and I mean them, but the real issue is that we have no idea how to do those things. So I will give some tangible stuff, but I say it with the caveat of like, but you don't know how to do them because you've never seen it modeled. You haven't been taught how to do it. Everything in your nervous system and your subconscious is wired to do the opposite. So if I say, just say no to your mother-in-law, or just, set a boundary with a client, you physically don't know how to do that. And even if I said, say these words, right, your body would fight you, because your patterns and your habits have kept you safe. Even if it's kept you exhausted, overwhelmed, overworked, disconnected, sick, your subconscious wants you safe. Your human brain's job is to keep you alive. And if you're not dead, it's like, we know that this is safer than this unknown world where we set boundaries and say no. And, all of these things, it's like, that might kill us. That might excommunicate us from the tribe, and we might never have belonging, and people will hate us and reject us. Like, that is terrifying. We're going to stick with this thing that we've done forever that doesn't work, but we know doesn't kill us. So how can I give some, I think the simplest, and it's not very sexy, but it's, I think, the most honest thing is awareness is everything. Awareness is consciousness. People walk around and like, oh, consciousness, third level consciousness, fourth level like, what the hell does consciousness mean? Like, I don't hate it, but for a very long time, it just sounds so, I don't know, just outrageous and weird and out there. But it just means awareness. Like, how aware are you? Are you operating your life from a set of internalized instructions that you have never thought about? Are you doing things because you've always done it? Are you doing things because that's what someone modeled for you or what everyone around you is doing? Are you running your life, running your business, making decisions from a conscious choice about your values, your priorities, your belief, or just sort of doing it because, like, you don't even know why, you've never really thought about it? So consciousness is just stopping and thinking about how you think, thinking about, when I go to say no to this asking for volunteering at my kid's school that I absolutely do not want to do. I do not have the time. I do not have the bandwidth for it. I don't want to do it. Everything in me is like, leave me alone. No. You feel that resistance, right? Like that inner battle is your first warning sign. It's like your alarm bell to say, hold on, I'm fighting with something that's true. I'm ready. I'm like arguing with myself. There's a discomfort. There's a tension. That is your first signal. So you're catching that signal. Then you're going to ask yourself, what's happening? Why am I feeling this way? What am I doing that, because guilt is always, I'm either not doing something I should be doing, or I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing. There's like this shouldn't. So checking in and being like, what rule am I breaking, or do I want to break, or like, what is the should? Identifying that. And just, again, creating awareness of what's happening inside of you. And then being able to say, okay, well, I don't want to volunteer for this thing. I should, because, that's what good moms do. And
yeah.
Okay, but do I really believe that a good mom has to volunteer for everything? Or is that just something that like everyone thinks? But is that like, can I be a good mom and not volunteer for everything or anything? Can I support my kids' school without doing X, Y, and Z? It's like, it's
going in
right. It's like just recognizing that those are that's the operating system that you're running from. You're running from an operating system that says I'm not allowed to say no because my kids are more important than me, and good moms put their kids first and put themselves last. And if I'm not coming last and I'm not suffering, then I'm not a good mom. And so every decision will be driven by that subconscious belief. And is that belief even true? Now, it might be. You might say, yes, I believe that. I choose that. That is how I want to live and parent. Well, then you shouldn't have any friction, because if you're in alignment with what's true, it doesn't feel bad. It feels bad because you've got cross currents of what you want and what you think you're supposed to want and what you believe. And so just untangling all of that, even if you still volunteer, starting to untangle it and create the awareness is where you start really seeing the habits, the patterns, and it's like, what is your operating system? And is that the one that you want to be and choose, or just the one you kind of fell into from your culture, your society, your friend group? That is again, like the least sexy answer, but it's the most it's the most real.
It's true. Yeah. It's true. I've had a lot of conversations around if I should be volunteering because I work for myself at home and maybe my calendar isn't filled with calls back to back. Does that mean I actually have time to go to a school? Well, no, it doesn't, because I don't want to.
Because you don't want to. Well, first of all, one, I don't want to. That's the only reason you need.
I don't want to go.
You can just full stop there. But also, and I mean, just to like riff on your situation as just an example for everyone. Again, we don't need a reason, but if often finding a reason helps our little brain like come on board. It's a little less. It'll come along if we can kind of meet it where it is and take it along. But in your head, your mind says, well, I, quote, have the time. Therefore, like I should be, like I have the freedom. I have the flexibility. I am not like other moms who have a 9 to 5. They can't leave. Like I can do this. Therefore, I should do this. But that is completely doing a disservice to the actual emotional, physical, mental toll of being a business owner. Like you may have more time in your schedule, but the capacity within you is like 100x somebody who just punches a clock. And this is no judgment. This is just the honest to God truth. It is not about time. Is a terrible indicator of we look at time like math, right? Like an hour is an hour. An hour is 60 seconds. No, it is not. Not all time is created equal, because there is an hour that can give you energy and an hour that can take your energy. And you're playing at a level of life and business that requires, like you're a Ferrari. You cannot be trading your time and energy for things that's like putting crap gasoline in your car. I know these are like weird mixed metaphors of like you're a Ferrari and but like if going to the volunteer thing and being around a bunch of little kids and chaos and noise and other moms complaining and all of this is going to take your energy, and it's going to take you 2 hours to recover because it took you out of the zone you need to play in to crush business and all of the things you have, that is too expensive. An hour is not an hour. Like that is the kind of level that you're operating in, and being able to say, this does not support me. I'm way better off working up here, writing a big fat check and keeping my energy clean. Like I'll show up in the ways that I can, but that is your job. as a woman who is elevating, expanding, growing businesses, creating opportunities for other women, you have to protect yourself like the resource that you are. And that means you cannot operate like every other woman around you. You cannot play by ordinary women's rules because you are not moving like an ordinary woman. And as much as you try to, I'll be like, quote, just regular mom, like I'll be a cool mom, regular mom over here, but I'm going to be like a crushing an entrepreneur over there. Mixed messages, like pick a lane. So this is the sort of like, again, feels, like I said earlier, it feels kind of shitty. It feels kind of, but it's not. It's just, we're not used to seeing women owning what they need, protecting their space, valuing their time and energy, saying no cleanly without drama. We're not used to seeing that model. Then if we want to grow big businesses and if we want to do it in a way that doesn't cost us our lives, our energy, our family, we gotta become different women. We don't just do the same things times 10. We have to become the woman who carries it with ease, become the woman who says no, become the woman who doesn't care if other moms judge her, becomes the woman who trusts herself to say, my time is valuable and I manage it accordingly without guilt. Like that is who we have to become. So that is a big part of your job, if not the biggest.
No, and I'm glad this is recording because I might need to watch this later as a reminder.
Repeat. Yes.
Write that down.
Yeah.
Because I think most business owners in general can really feel that so much with, well, I'm supposed to go do this thing, but I'm also supposed to be running a business, and all these supposed to's, all these different lanes, and you're one person.
Yeah.
And you can't do it all at one time. And there's only one 100%.
Yeah.
So we need to figure out, what lane we're going in. You talk a lot about dropping the rules that weren't designed for you and rejecting the path that society's laid out. And, as we've worked together for about 3 years, that has probably changed. The new path for women is evolving. And so I'd love to close us out by, in your words, kind of hearing what you think. Now you can just guess. This isn't Emilie. Well, I think Emilie knows all. I'll let everybody else be the judge. But then what do you think is the new path for women today? 3 years ago was very different. We were hustling and we were the 10K months and we're doing it all, we're killing it, and then we got tired.
Yeah.
And now we're in a slower season.
For real. I've certainly evolved and grown in my position on this, but we used to think, and kind of rightfully so, that in order to get ahead in the world, we had to become like men. That men had all the power. Men were out there crushing it. They were making decisions. They were leading companies. There was a time when women were not represented in any, it's still not the same, right? But in boardrooms and charities and at the top in the C-suites, the representation obviously was not there. So for us to fight for a seat at the table where decisions were being made, we had to play, I say, the old white man rules of success. Like we had to basically prove we were one of the guys and we were capable and we could do what the men could do and that all of these things. And there was a very much a time where we needed and had to do that. And I think all of us have gone through a version of that, even just on an individual level, of proving that we can hustle, focus, have strategy, work hard. Like there's something really incredibly powerful about being able to become so focused and driven in that way. But as women, it really doesn't serve us to live in that space for so long. And we deplete ourselves from that space and we override our intuition and we have to deny parts of ourselves and compromise things that men don't have to. So that path, again, it served us. That was sort of like the feminine as the masculine. But really, I think where I'd like to see all women heading, and obviously society heading, is women really, really understanding that the way they get ahead is not by trying to be more like a man. It's by being better at being her most authentic self, by knowing herself, trusting herself, and leading herself by honoring the cycles of and seasons of growth. And this isn't about like, I think every time you say honoring her cycles, people think like, oh, I need to like, build my business around my period. Like, that's not at all what I'm saying, although that could be a part of it.
I mean, I'd love to talk about that.
Yeah, this is not my, but to understand, like, men operate on a 24-hour cycle. So it's like, go, 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 go. We operate on a 28-day cycle. And the men are like the sun, women are like the moon. And if we take the kind of woo-woo weirdness out of that, all that really means is just understanding your individual way of doing it is not going to look like a man. You might have days where you're like hyper productive, super focused, creative, and then you might have days where you just need to like rest and recover. Now, practically and tactically, that may be difficult to integrate, but it's just at first, at a minimum, understanding I'm not meant to be at 100% all the time, ongoing, producing, penetrating the world. That depletes me. I'm not meant to think about things and figure out a strategy. I'm meant to connect with my intuition. I'm meant to feel into what feels good, what feels like a yes, what feels like a no, to trust myself in the moment, knowing it's changing and evolving, to not needing to see the whole staircase. We think in terms of like business and strategy. I need to make a 5-year plan and I need to do X, Y, and Z. And yes, there's value in some of that, but being able to trust what you need when you need it and to not worry about things you can't control. All of our power is here and now, and being able to be here and now and say, what do I need today? Because as I talked about earlier with managing our time, managing our energy, you might say, I have to send this email to my clients. And you might sit down to write that email and have literally nothing to say. And the old way is like, well, I have to do it because I said I would. I'm going to be disciplined. I'm going to be structured. But the new way might say, you know what? I'm not feeling this. What is it that I need? I actually, I need a little bit of fresh air. I'm going to take 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to clear my head. And then I come back and I'm like so invigorated. I have an idea. I write that email in. It takes me 10 minutes to write it. I just spent an hour and 10 minutes and I got a better quality thing by putting first what I needed versus sitting at my desk for maybe 90 minutes, beating my head against it, trying to write the perfect email that ends up sucking because it was forced and not inspired. So just learning to trust ourselves, moving with the energy, having fun, enjoying the process. And as I said earlier, not making the someday. This is how we create lives we love today. We fall in love with the process and we chase the goals, but we don't give them more power than now. That was a really long rambling answer, but
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like loving your life. It's like, it's truly the difference between I want to get to this destination and I'm going on a road trip. And if I didn't think when I got there everything would be better, I could just like enjoy the journey, roll down the windows, put on some great tunes and have a great time. Might I approach this day a little differently? Might I chill F out a little bit? Might I have more fun? Might I not worry about that thing that doesn't matter if it got done by the 31st or next month or whatever? Like more flow, more fun, more magnetism, more receiving, more attraction, more effortlessness, which is, by the way, way more creativity, way more innovation, way more magnetic to clients and customers. It's not less powerful. It's more powerful, but it's different.
No, and every time you're about to say something woo-woo to me, because I am who I am, you always warn me. You're always just hold my hand, let's go for a walk. And what you said, like more fun, more flow, some people might feel like, well, then that's not business.
Yeah.
It's not business. And to that, I say my business grew because Emilie taught me how to look at things differently. Yeah. So I specifically remember there was I don't know if I'd call it a master class. It was like a summer fun thing.
Oh, the feeling good is the workshop?
Yes.
And, feeling good is the work.
Yes. And it was, I don't think I did all the things, but there were a few things that stayed with me and they helped me run a business today. And so they might seem silly or they might seem completely opposite to running a business, but I don't know if you saw my drink. I love Shirley Temples.
Yes. Good old kitty cocktail. Yeah.
A little toasted. Yeah. But one of the things that you had done in that specific class was romanticizing your life. You had talked about romanticizing your life. And that can be the small things like I found 7-Up. Shirley told
yeah. Oh, mm-hmm.
Yes. And so now when I do a podcast, I have a fun drink and it feels like we're having a drink together. And so to that, I just say you just never know if you open your mind where things could make the biggest difference. I see working differently.
Yeah.
I also follow my gut a lot more and trust it. And my business has been successful because of that.
Yeah.
And I don't look at it like I have to do these things, and wake up with a different sense of joy every day. So I hope that anyone that might be feeling this yearning, this what would you describe it, Emily? This calling, this, I don't want to say lack.
I think it's truly like our spirit, men or woman. Like there's this time where like our spirit, and again, it doesn't have to be religious or anything like that. It's just this bigger part of us is like tapping us on the shoulder, and it's kind of like remembering what matters, what really, really matters. And I truly believe, and just to add to what you said, we have this way of thinking like life is over here and work is over here and like work-life balance. I don't believe work-life balance is complete bullshit. You have your life. You have 24 hours in a day. How do you spend it? And thinking of it that way makes all the difference, especially as an entrepreneur, because you know that you're thinking about problems at 2 a.m. when you can't sleep. So you're telling me that you can't go for a walk at noon to clear your head. And men do this too. They just call it different things. They call it trusting their gut. Good business instincts. Like it's not woo-woo and feminine when it's just the language, how we describe it. We would say that man's got good instincts for business, right? He trusts himself. That means he trusts himself. He works really hard. He's really focused. He has a vision. He can see things that don't exist, and he believes in it before anyone else can see it. That's faith. It's just the way we talk about it. The entrepreneurship, you have to be a little crazy to believe in something that doesn't exist, to keep going without evidence, there is a level of delusion required. And so if you're not willing to take that to the next level of integration, energy, focus, like you're doing yourself a disservice, because this whole thing that you're in requires crazy. So lean into the crazy. Intentionality, all these things that you like. Just little things, just like the way you dress, the way you move, the kind of car you drive, like elevating certain parts of your identity that then show up in a business meeting in different ways. Like there's so much interconnectedness. Yeah.
What is the best way for people to reach out if they have questions? Is it your website, or I feel like I'm too close to the source, so I can't answer this.
So, you can find me anywhere, like on my website. Instagram is where I hang out for the most part. Honestly, just a personal like DM or email is kind of my like just say hi if you have questions about, want to know something, or just say you saw the podcast. Like that to me is just my favorite. I love just connecting with the humans. So that's my best way.
And your website is beautiful.
Thank you.
It's changed so much.
Yes.
And it was so moody when I looked at it today. So I was like, I get to see her change too in a different way. Not change, evolve.
Well, I think just less of who do I need to present myself as so people think I'm really smart versus this is who I am.
Leading by example.
Yes, I'm trying every damn day.
Not one time have you ever said to me, I have it all figured out. We are always changing because we're human beings. So that is completely normal. So we can, Emilie Karun, KARUN, .com is where we can find you or send a DM. I didn't know that you like Instagram the most. Am I a boomer and I reach out to you on Facebook?
Well, like I live on Facebook personally more so. I had this big conundrum of like when my kids were getting older and I was like befriending all like the friends' parents, and I'm like, my
How do
weird.
I send my message if I'm
Yeah,
using
I'm
my
like, I'm not talking about work when I'm talking about football. Like it got a
yeah.
little clunky, and being all the places in the beginning, I was all the places. I got to be Facebook, got to be Instagram, got to be. And I'm like, no, I'm going to live on Instagram. I retired my Facebook group a while ago. So yeah, Instagram,
Okay.
where I'm hanging.
I love it. I love it. So people are going to reach out to you. I was watching The Chosen because it has been so interesting to put visuals to these like biblical stories.
Mm-hmm.
One of the ways that the religious leaders used to end a big conversation, if they were in like a big hall and they were talking about important things in their life, they would do this.
Oh.
We're done with it. And now I love it. Not that I'm like a major religious leader.
Claim it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm a leader of some sort.
Yes.
So now we're ending it like this, and we're saying we're done with that. But truly, thank you so much for
having me. So fun.
Thank you for your time.
If I could do it all over again, there'd be no wish I would, should have been. Spend more time with my family and friends. If I could do it all over again, I'd wake up early and start